Welcome back to the news at 10. Now, as the Goodluck Jonathan administration hands over power tomorrow, it's been a mix of commendations and criticisms. The People's Democratic Party government has been roundly criticized for its handling of security in the country. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
The biggest challenge to the Jonathan administration can be said to be insecurity, despite his many campaign promises. According to the International Press Centre, Lagos, President Goodluck Jonathan, throughout his campaign in 2011 and even in the last election, made 91 campaign promises. 10 out of that number bordered on the security of lives and property. The report states that, amongst other things, he promised to make anyone caught breaching the public peace to face the full wrath of the law, make a complete transformation of the national security architecture, confront headlong ethno-religious violence in the country, pursue all terrorists and adopt modern mode to tackle the problems of political violence. But for Lushala and many others like her, these promises were not fulfilled as their lives were altered as a result of the rising insecurity in the country, especially in the north, occasioned by the operation of the insurgent group Boko Haram. Nigerians expected the president to hit the ground running, but over time grew weary of the seemingly lackluster approach to the issues of security.
Yes, there was a serious failure in the Jonathan administration. And I am yet to know, like I said. But three things are sure. One, maybe the security operators were also interested in delaying the end of that thing. Maybe they also benefit from it. I don't know.
You know, the Jonathan administration has actually exposed the underbelly of Nigeria. The last of our institutions that we used to feel and believe was still together, still in one beat, still strong enough to defend the integrity of Nigeria was the military. And then, surprisingly, people don't also like to acknowledge that fact. The military has been polarized, the military has been politicized. Security-wise, I'll score the government less than average, in fact, close to zero.
This situation continued to the build-up of the 2015 election, which made the president ask for a 6-week extension to enable his government tackle the insecurity headlong. Even though the announcement was received with little faith, the government made good its promise, sacking the terrorists from most of the communities in the northeast and freeing hostages, a drive they continue to pursue. For this, the president received a pat on the back, even though it was said to be late in the day.
Being a non-military president who was able to handle the situation and to have a peaceful election, he must be commended for that. And we have seen that the commendation has even come from international communities.
While the north was on fire, armed robbery and kidnapping took a different dimension in the southeast and the southwest. Daredevil armed robbers operated in daylight without care. While there was an increase in kidnapping, including that of constitutional lawyer Mike Azokome, a sore term to the Jonathan's administration will remain the abduction of over 200 girls from the government girls' secondary school Chibok. His administration continues to be criticized for the way it handled the situation and its inability to rescue the girls more than a year later, especially by the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners.
It is heart-rending that 409 days later, we still don't have our girls back, and then by tomorrow, there's going to be transition to a new government. Somebody else will take over the reign of government. As
the Goodluck Jonathan administration winds down, not many agree that it fulfilled its many campaign promises. Expectations, however, are that the incoming administration will hit the ground running to consolidate on the current gain in the fight against terrorism and other crimes in the country. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Well, to throw more light on the outgoing administration's handling of security, I'm being joined by a security expert, Colonel Yomi Dari. Thanks so much for joining us on the news at 10 tonight.
Thanks, Ijoma, for having me on board.
It's a bit difficult to talk about security because so many families are still grieving, you know, and we pay our respects to them, of course. But how would you assess security under the outgoing administration?
Well, that's a very tough one, if I must confess to you, being a security personnel myself. But the truth must be told that somehow at a point, people kind of lost faith, even in the military. And I think I've had the privilege of appearing on this media platform, to express my opinion on national security. You see, we must, as much as possible, divorce politics from the military. And I think in our own case, some politics or politicking went into the military.
Would that also be responsible for what we saw, like in the last couple of weeks, a concerted effort to flush the terrorists out? We saw a lot of women coming out, children coming out. Was that too little, too late, or do you still put that down to last-minute politics?
Well, I want to put that to commend the military for that.
Yes.
Because it was, we were aware that certain things undercurrents, the challenges the military or the federal government faced in procuring security equipment. And then you'll recall we had the incident or the saga of the South African, yes, going there to buy arms with raw cash, and then them impounding the plane and then keeping the money. I don't even know.
But as well, what we're looking at is the handling, the handle they had on security matters, how they went about it in terms of the timeliness, response. That's what we're actually trying to assess.
Yes, initially it was on a low ebb, but I think probably when funds were released and then they were able to get more equipment, like the Air Force, you will recall that some platforms came in and then they were able to go into the enemy territory, especially the Sambisa forest, to pound it. And then the army, the foot soldiers too, the army were able to, to move in. And then we recorded successes.
This administration, there was a lot of phrase, security of lives and property. I mean, everybody began to bandy that particular phrase about. Do you feel safer in the last 4 years? Would you say you think they've done well in terms of making us feel that they have a handle on security matters?
I'll tell you no. I don't think so. Not enough. It's not enough. And you see, a lot of things contributed to this. We have to look at the corruption in the society. We have to look at the unemployment state of the nation. When youths couldn't get jobs to do, they have to, turn their energy or look elsewhere to earn a living. And a lot of cases of kidnapping, it became, something like, so easy to do.
So what role would you say the security agencies played into, because obviously security is not just the government alone, you have the different arms in the SSS, the police force. What did you see them stepping up to the mark in terms of, being on their guard?
Well, I think they tried probably their best, but I don't think their best was good enough. I do not think their best was good enough. And then it's a common knowledge that even some agencies have started telling Nigerians, the sort of challenges they faced, how it was difficult for them, to get funding, how it was difficult for them to manage, their affairs.
So moving forward for the new administration in the next 100 days, what are you looking at as their first, line of responsibility to make us safer?
Well, security must be tackled such that people will feel safe, investors will feel comfortable to bring in their money to invest here, and then even the common man will feel safe, to go out to do their business. You understand? All
right. Thank you so much, security expert Colonel Yomi Dare. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10 tonight.
Thank you.
Moving on now. Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture, Akinwumi Adesina, has been elected chairman of the African Development Bank, the AFDB. He was elected at the AFDB annual general meeting in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. and succeeds Mr. Donald Kaberuka, the outgoing president. Prior to the election, Mr. Adesina enjoyed the support of both President Goodluck Jonathan and President-elect Muhammadu Buhari, who asked fellow African leaders to back his candidacy. While the appointment of Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture, Akinwumi Adesina, as the president of the African Development Bank did not emerge out of the blues, Mr. Adesina's discipline and legacy in the agriculture sector throughout the continent for about 3 decades may have been his preparatory measures for his new position. Here's a brief on his past record and achievements.
Dr. Akinwumi Adesina is an agriculture development expert with close to 27 years' experience in developing and managing successful programs across Africa. He holds a bachelor's degree in agricultural economics from the University of Ife, southwest Nigeria, and obtained his PhD in agricultural economics in 1988 from Purdue University in the United States of America.
We have successfully controlled it in the past.
Until his appointment as the Honorable Minister of Agriculture in 2011, he was the Vice President, Policy and Partnerships Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. Amongst other esteemed positions he occupied, Dr. Adesina was recognized for his role as an Associate Director for Food Security at the Rockefeller Foundation from 1998 to 2008. He was awarded the prestigious Yara Prize in Norway as well as the Borlaug Cast Communication Award of the Council for Agricultural Science and Technology in the United States of America. With his election as the new president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina will be sworn in September this year. He will be transiting from the ministerial seat of Nigeria's Agriculture Ministry into higher continental relevance.
Finally, the 6-day siege on the Lagos home of the Ogun State Senator-elect Mr. Buruji Kashamu has come to an end. But it did not come easy, as earlier today supporters of the politician thronged his residence, causing traffic, insisting that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency vacate the premises. Our correspondent Oreolu Ashonibare reports on the face-off between the men of the NDLEA and supporters of the embattled politician.
It had to happen sometime. Supporters of embattled Senator-elect from Ogun State, Mr. Buruji Kashamu, appear to have had enough of their political leaders' incarceration by men of the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. The protesters fell out with placards, keeping their distance from the men with guns. But they find courage somewhere along the line and become more outspoken with their demands. But the NDLEA officials are having none of that, forming a line to cordon off the crowd, who now seem to have made themselves comfortable. For the counsel to Mr. Kashamu, the defiance of the NDLEA only goes to show how much the rule of law is disregarded here.
They are trespassers and criminals because they have no justification for being here. They have no warrant of arrest. They have no request from America or anyone for his extradition with them. They've not disclosed any. They've not shown it to me. They've not shown it to the court. So if they claim they have it, then what benefit is there having it if they cannot even show it to the target or the subject of the document?
The line is drawn. How long the protest will last perhaps depends on how long the leader stays locked up in his home. For Mr. Kashamu, what is most likely on his mind is how he will be sworn in as the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Oreolu Ashonibare, Channels Television News.
First Bank. You first.
Hello and welcome to Business News. I'm Kayode Alayode. The outgoing Africa Development Bank President Donald Kaberuka wants more African countries to support the Africa 50 Infrastructure Fund set up to support infrastructure initiatives across the continent. At the fund's shareholders meeting in Abidjan, Kaberuka, who also chairs the fund, said Africa 50 has raised around $700 million since its formation and offered a continent-wide alternative necessary to reach the critical mass. The fund has now set a June 15 deadline for submissions of commitments by countries interested in becoming members. When combined, the AFDB and Africa 50's contributions represent a total of more than $600 million to date, suggesting Africa is on track to achieving its $1 billion capitalization target. Now, profit-taking takes center stage at the Nigeria stock market as the benchmark index shared 0.13% to close at 34,310.37. Christopher Bukwola has the rest of Thursday's closing figures. After a two-day slide, crude prices staged recovery today despite high U.S. stocks and strong global production, along with a firm dollar, which had kept the markets under pressure. Brent crude climbed 44 cents to $62.50 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up 18 cents at $57.69 per barrel. In the meantime, industry group American Petroleum Institute says that U.S. crude inventories rose by 1.3 million barrels last week, and that follows 3 weeks of straight withdrawals. And that's Business News this hour. I'm Kayode Alayode. The rest of the news continues with Ijoma in just a moment. Do stay with us.
First Bank. You first.
Still ahead on the news at 10, FIFA President Sepp Blatter refuses to quit amid growing political pressure over a corruption scandal in the World Football Body. And that's on sports. Do stay with us.